Hello, everybody. How are we doing? How are we doing this fine Wednesday evening? Give everyone a chance to join in here before we get going. Once you're here, just drop a hi in the comments. That way I know I'm not just talking to thin air. Then it wouldn't be the first time. All right. Hey there, Scott. Glad to see you made it. We put the show on just for you, bud. Oh, Grandpa. Hi, Grandpa. We'll get going in just a minute. While we wait to see if we reel in any more people, we will do our favorite shout outs to our favorite comic shops. 204 Comics, Ashley, as usual. He supplies our comics to us. He's got one of the nicest stores in the city. He's probably one of the nicest comic book guys to deal with in the city, so if you haven't gone and seen him already, get yourself over there and tell him we all said hi to him from NatDaddy. Hey Terrence, how you doing? And then the other shout out we like to make here tonight is Big Country Comics. That's Justin. If none of you have met him or talked to him, super awesome guy. He's the one that does a lot of our exclusives. Now let me do a shameless plug here. I remembered how to work my computer. There we go. All right. First up, our shameless plug here is the Department of Truth variant that we've got up right now. The homage set is what they're being referred to as. And like we said last week, these ones are up still on our website and on our Facebook page for pre-order. This week, actually, Department of Truth 10 came out. We do have that exclusive variant as well. More on that one later. And we've got, what else do we got here? We've got Rick and Morty. And that Rick and Morty is same thing. We've got that one in stock now on either our website, message us on Facebook, whatever. I don't know if anyone has been watching the show or the new season. Episode 2 just came out on Sunday. And this season seems like it's turned out to be pretty good so far, actually. Better than the last season, I think. So, those are good shows, good books to keep out. If you like the show, the book is pretty much the show on steroids. I almost prefer the books most of the time. And as for that, that looks like all I've got here for us at the moment. But I did just get a message that Nathan's ready. I think he said he just got to an appointment or back from an appointment, but we'll see what he's up to. He's just coming through for us right now.
Hey man, thanks for the ride. Hey guys, just got dropped off by Uber there. I'm at Arkham Asylum. I figured that every week that we should take this show on the road, and it's 38 degrees in Winnipeg, and it's not cooling off too much for the next few days, and I'm off, so I figured let's go check out somewhere else. So here I am at Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look sunny over there. Cool and
Nope,
dreary.
little bit, but it's a little cooler, so I'm okay with that. Ready to get started?
Yeah, we'll keep that DC on a roll there with our first book up tonight, which is Green Arrow. It's the 80th anniversary. I didn't even realize Green Arrow was this old, actually. I thought he was more of a not recent character, but definitely not that old. This book is one of my favorite books of the week. It's got some really good stories. He's sort of all over the place. Parts from each era: Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze, Modern, even up to the series from the last few years ago. Um, it's got some fun stuff in it. It's got I don't even know how many stories, maybe 6 or so, at least. They're not too long, a few pages each. Uh, it's got the origin of the boxing glove arrow in it, which is pretty funny how he comes upon that. It's got him training in Ted Grant's gym, Wildcat, and it's got his famous homemade chili recipe in it too, on an actual page, the actual recipe. So I thought that was pretty funny. I didn't actually read over the recipe yet. I don't know if I would try it. It's supposed to be only Batman's supposed to be able to tolerate it, and I'm definitely no Batman. Uh,
Yeah, I've been waiting for that book too. I like all these anniversary editions coming out. Some are good, some are bad, but this one I was looking forward to, and I know you picked up the Jen Bartel cover, which is
yeah,
I always like her covers. She usually does female stuff, but this one looks good too.
I picked it up. That Jen Bartel. I thought it was Bruce Timm. Like it looked like some of the like animated stuff from the Batman Justice League animated shows. So that was why I picked it up. I didn't realize till I had it in hand that it was Jen Bartel, and she
Yeah,
actually does some of the art for one of the stories on the inside as well.
yeah, it's a good surprise when you see those because most are good, but there's been a few lately. I think Wonder Woman was one of them. Just wasn't that great. You'd expect a little bit more, but no, that was a good one.
Yeah, and the price, I think it's your standard $10 or so for your 100 pages, somewhere around there, $8 to $10. Um, it's what you'd expect for a bigger size book like this. So
Right.
overall, not too bad.
Cool. Next on our list, I believe, is Godzilla, correct?
Yeah, Godzilla Rivals.
All
This week
right.
he's fighting Hidora.
Yeah. I like Godzilla. It just brings me back to being younger and stuff like that. But I haven't actually read a Godzilla comic in quite a while. So when Ashley recommended this one to me, it's kind of a one shot per se, but it's a collection of one shots. Each issue is versus a certain monster. And like Ty said, this one is a Hedorah. And I myself wasn't really familiar with Fedora. I mean, I knew what it was in that, but I didn't really wasn't sure like what the monster did in that. And
Yeah,
it seems to be like a giant like acid monster type of thing. Everything is corrosive, it touches and stuff. So it's one
evil
of those
silly
things like
buddy.
yeah, even when you fight it, you get hurt type of thing. So story starts off is two people trying to make it across the city to the hospital, and the fight's going on between the two Kajiris or whatever you want to call them. And yeah, they do make it across, avoiding some obstacles and stuff like that, and ends up being a little bit of twist at the end there. But good story for just a fun little colorful roller coaster of a ride. No Paul Auler as the writer and EJ Sue as the artist, and I liked the art. It was clean and just exciting and bright, and like I said, fun little roller coaster ride.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would say too. It is definitely a roller coaster ride, and it's not modern Godzilla. It's old Godzilla dude in a rubber suit. So it's your classic Godzilla, and it
Yeah,
reminded me more of the old Marvel comics style of Godzilla than anything else. And I don't know much about Godzilla beyond the movies and beyond that one comic I read back in, I don't even know how long ago now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I
Terrence, that's issue one. So it's just sort of, they say they're one shots, but it's kind of a series of one-off battles between a bunch of different. I think the next one is
Mothra.
Mothra. Yeah, yeah, and it
I
had
want to
some
see
pretty
Mothra.
fun covers too. I don't know if anyone is a fan of that. Feregi, he's the one that does lots of the Aboriginal artwork, and he's got Godzilla and Hedorah sort of in a face-off. And that I have a bunch of the Marvel ones of that, so that one it slipped out of my fingers this time. I don't miss too many. Next up, we've got the Shield. Oh, and it's our favorite comic book guru himself, Ashley, just joined. Hey, Ash, how you doing? Yeah. Next up, we've got the Shield. This
From
was
Archie.
yeah, for an Archie comic. Definitely more mature. That it's by Rob Liefeld, and I don't hold too much hope when it comes to stuff from Rob Liefeld. It's kind of hit and miss for me, and I know it's the same for a lot of people. But overall, solid story, solid artwork. It's definitely going somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know the character or that universe well enough. Um, but it's interesting. It's kind of got some multiverse, multi-world stuff going on in it, from the understanding I have of it. Um, and it also helps that we have an exclusive of it.
Well,
It's
while you show that, I will give my little thoughts on that book as well too.
yeah,
And then at the end, you can go over all the cover information and whatnot. Yeah, I like the Shield as well too. I thought it was a pretty good story. I'm kind of more missed than hit when it comes to Liefeld stuff and that. But this one I didn't find too bad. I was kind of excited to see a reboot of some of the Archie characters. I read a little bit of them when I was a kid, just in the Archie Digest and stuff, and I didn't find them bad back then or anything. I think they just kind of got left behind because they were Archie characters and whatnot. So I liked it, and you said like you could see it going somewhere, but unfortunately, unless something else happens with this book, it's kind of been canceled already because
yeah.
there was like disputes between the company and Rob Liefeld himself. So that book's already he's not on that anymore. He's already quit, and they were lucky that this book actually got out, from what I understand it, because I understand it was almost being stopped because of this. So I'm glad it is out, and I do hope that someone else kind of picks up or they move forward on it because I think these characters need to come out and come to light because I think they could be cool characters. Nobody really knows these characters, so they would be almost new per se. So
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. I didn't realize when I'd seen old pictures or old comics in back issue bins and Archie stuff. I thought it was just Archie in a costume. I never realized it was their own separate thing, which it apparently was. It was a whole Justice League per se in the Archie universe.
yeah, and they were pretty cool. I remember reading them. I don't remember the rest of them. There was one guy I think was called the Web or something like that, and he was kind of like a Spider-Man type, but he had like a cape that was a web. How about you tell people who are our illustrators and our cover artists for that?
Yeah. So our good friend Justin over at Big Country, he knows lots of different artists, and lots of them are Canadian. So that's nice. This one here is from Casey Parsons, and I've been seeing this cover for months now. So when I see it, I think of this one as cover A, and honestly, I prefer it to cover A. I picked up cover A here. I'm waiting for the exclusive to come in. Justin's just getting settled at his new place. He just moved, so those will be out here probably in the next couple weeks or so. So if you haven't pre-ordered those now, there's still time. They haven't quite made it here yet.
Yeah, and I'm finding too that I think a lot of stores might have, I won't say missed the boat on this thing, but I think a lot of stores weren't aware of this book. I mean, I know there's quite a few different covers out there and stuff. I don't think a lot of people ordered it because it seems to be, from what I hear, some people are having maybe a tough time to get it. So
Yeah, I don't
check
know
us out.
what the print numbers were on it. I think with the whole lie filled problem there that they were having. I think it may have just been a mix of under ordered and under printed.
Yeah.
But I don't quote me on that. That's just pure speculation.
Yeah.
Next up is everyone's favorite webhead, the Amazing Spider-Man, in all new giant-sized issue. It's the Chameleon Conspiracy. I am behind on Amazing Spider-Man right now. I haven't read in about 2 months, so I'm about 20 issues behind. I finished up just at the arc there with Kindred and whatnot. He got captured and everything, and a lot has happened since then apparently, because it seems like there's a whole red room per se of like chameleons, a whole class, a whole training academy full of them, and this is just seems to be the end of that storyline. Next one sets up Sinister War, and that is looking to be pretty good. I don't think too much stands out with this issue. It's got it shows a bunch of B-list and C-list villains. Like you've got Frogman in there, and that's always a fun one to see because he's not used nearly enough.
But they're not the original villains, though. They're the clones chameleon type of thing.
Exactly. So, yeah. That's the reveal, at least for me, because I'm behind on issues. That all those guys is just the different chameleons. They're sort of portraying themselves to be all these guys.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too. Like, much like yourself, Spider-Man is my favorite of all time, but I'm not enjoying this last run, and I know it's done in a few months, and a lot of people are happy to see that. So yeah, I've fallen a little bit behind too, and I laughed at your joke there because it's true. Like, there seems to be like you said, double size issues, and then anniversary issues, and then 0.3s and 0.4s and all that, and it doesn't really seem to advance the story, or just kind of you bring it back to the same circle and start over again. So, but yeah, it's kind of neat. They're heading off to attack. When they say attack, but they're infiltrating that floating casino, and that's where all this is going on, and that, and it was all right. Plus, they got this whole inner arc going on about Peter's Spider-Man's sister showing up. She's like a super spy and all that, and maybe she's one of these clone chameleon things too. Maybe she's not. They show her maybe as one, and then she's maybe not. She's in denial. We don't really know. But so again, you don't really know what to think at the end of this. And for being one of those larger size issues, it's not as expensive as some of the other ones. It's only, I think, $6.99 or $4.99 or $5.99.
It didn't quite feel much longer than any other comic.
No. Yeah, but I mean, I'm glad it wasn't $10.99 or $8.99 like some of them have been. But again, it didn't feel necessary. So.
Yeah, for me, the best thing about this whole issue, I think, is probably the cover. It's a pretty cool cover. Anytime you get Chameleon with his masks all behind him, that makes for a pretty sweet cover.
Yeah, I always like those covers too, where, like you said, they're like trophy heads and stuff on the wall. And the book was fun to read. Like, it's never bad to read Spidey, jumping around and going through like multiple villains and stuff like that. But it was just like, why? Why are you doing this? So. Yeah.
All right. Next up, no introduction needed. It's everyone's favorite book right now, Department of Truth number 10.
Yeah, I like this book again. I know one of the things when Tyler talks about this book, he's going to say there was just too much words in it. And I always bug him when he says stuff like that. But there was a lot of writing in this book. Half the book was your great story. It's they're breaking down what really is the mythology of the Bigfoot, and what these guys are doing to either prolong the mythos or destroy it. Because the Department of Truth is what happens is every conspiracy is real the more people believe it. So if in the story here the guy says, it's bad these days because as soon as somebody puts a video on YouTube or the internet, all these people watch it and it just makes people think about it. So it makes these things come more to life. And that's what it is. So they have to go hunt a Bigfoot. But in the background, too, the second half of the story, which is the part that Tyler didn't appreciate as much, is there's a guy there who spent his whole life and wrecked his family and everything trying to find a Bigfoot that he thought he once saw. And I won't say what happens at the end of the story, but the people all end up meeting up and stuff like that. And if it was done as two separate stories and not put together, it would be great. But like I said, the story itself would be a couple pages of the actual illustrated part, and then there'd be a page or two of just straight full on
handwritten journal entries.
Yeah, 2 or 3 pages of full-scape journal, which in cursive, which is kind of hard to read a little bit. So, but I mean, I read it. I took the time to read it, and it fed into the story, and it was interesting. And you could see the guy how much he wanted to prove it, and he had evidence, and how much it was destroying his family at the same time as sacrificing and that. But good story. You going to show some little magic surprises for that?
Yes, this is where our other special exclusive is. This one is by Mike Ruth. I think we showed this one off before on stream. If not, we've definitely talked about it. But it's 2 covers. You can see one as the actual trade. One is just the standard version. And those are sweet. Department of Truth has a lot of really awesome covers. And whenever you get some nice exclusive variants, or just any variants at all for a book like this, they turn out to be sweet. And these books, these exclusives that we keep getting from Big Country, keep knocking it out of the park. I don't think there's been one that I haven't liked. Even issue number 1 was a wicked, wicked one. But back onto the book itself. Like you were saying before, I thought it was too explanatory, too much exposition. And it's not that I don't like to read, but when I read a comic book, I don't intend on reading 4 paragraphs on 1 page. It's just not what I was looking for. That being said, if had it been split into 2 parts and that was spread over a little bit more, probably would have flowed a bit better, because it takes up 2 whole pages. I think the whole centerfold is a journal entry. So
yeah, they're double page spreads.
Yeah. So for me, this issue is a bit but it does build on the story, so I can't bash it too much. Next up is Kanto and the City of Giants, number 3.
I'll take that one. I've just started to get Tyler onto Kanto. I think he started to get a little bit more interested once I told him that Will Smith and his wife Jada Pinkett Smith have bought the rights to this and are making, I don't know if it's movies or shows or what, but they are going to produce it into something.
Yeah.
It's a great fun book. It's one of those things, I know a lot of people think it probably is young ages. I say that all the time in this show, and it's not. It's great. It's kind of like
it's a Dungeons and Dragons adventure, honestly.
Yeah, basically, Kanto, and there's a whole little race of these Kantos, and they're kind of like small little tin men. They have clockwork hearts and stuff, and he's very brave, and he's the main character. He's almost like the Frodo type person, where he has to go on all these quests to do stuff. So he's had several adventures already. And they've been well received, but it's always a very low run print book, so a lot of people don't know about it, again, because it comes from IDW. But again, it's a great book, and I think people are going to start getting more and more into it. This book itself, it's part 3 of the story, and it's the last part of this story. Kanto is on a mission to go fight the dreaded mechanical kind of dragon pharaoh. And he's tasked to bring back the crystal skull off its head like a rhino, or the crystal horn off its head like a rhino. So, yeah, it's fun. He has to fight with a kind of like a robo witch type person, and there's 2 giant heads that are kind of like just if it was a whole giant, but just the heads there. They have no other bodies. I missed out what happened there. I think they just were cursed or lost their limbs or something. So, Kanto's trying to get limbs for them, and the overall whole arc for Kanto is he wants to go against the main bad guy, which I believe is the Master Shadower or something like that. So he's the main type of guy, kind of like a Darth Palpatine type of person, and he keeps trying to recruit more and more people to go fight this person. So yeah, it ends up in the end, and it's quite enjoyable. It's got great artwork always. It's fun to read. My only bad thing I don't like about the Kanto books is they're just too fast to read. No,
Yeah.
you feel like you pick it up and you're done in like 5 seconds because it's some cool artwork, not a whole lot of words, and it's not a thick book either. And you just want you keep reading it, and it's like, oh, it's fun, that's fast, and then you're done. So then I always think I go back and read it again just to see if I missed anything, and I usually don't, but it's fun to enjoy it again. But yeah, it's always too fast to read. So I think I see why when these come out in trade paperback form that they're pretty popular because you can sit and everyone loves the binge, whether it's TV or food or books. So
Yeah, this was my first foray into Kanto. Like you're saying, you just got me into it, and it was with this issue. I know you're lucky enough to have issue number 1 over there,
I
but I'd be fine just reading the trades too. It's almost like little Smurf warriors, really. It's I thought his name was Kanto, but those people they're called the Kantos, and they're little, like you said, little clockwork knights, and
yeah
they're small. They're little dudes, probably no bigger than Yoda or an Ewok. They're pretty small.
yeah they are yeah.
And like you said too, there's not a lot of words, and like I said from the last one, I don't like reading. I like as little words and as more pictures as possible. No, I'm kidding. But you're right. It is a very fast read, but that's not a bad thing because the artwork is so good and it is very detailed artwork that anytime you lose reading, you make up going and looking at the image.
I agree.
Next up is my book. Actually, I think it's both our books of the week.
What I'm hearing, I think it's everybody's book of the week.
Yeah. We were actually. I was talking to Ashley when I went into the store about it, and you said you had mentioned it too. It's Barbaric #1. This book is fantastic. I cannot stress enough. If you have not picked it up yet, please get it. It is so good. It is so funny. As you can see from the cover there, it's a barbarian, and he's got this axe. It's all covered in blood. I don't want to give away too much of the story, so I'm going to be very vague. He's got a curse as he's a barbarian, but he can only do good, and that axe kind of guides him a bit. It talks to him, only he can hear it, and this axe has a thirst for blood. So the axe will tell him, like, hey, that's not really punishable by death, but that guy, yeah, I definitely want to eat his blood. So let's whack him. And it's hilarious. I cannot state enough. If you haven't read it and if it's not on your pickup list, please get it.
I'm unlike Tyler. I don't mind going into a little bit more detail and doing a little bit of spoilage, but I won't do it so anybody will wreck it if they read it. I too like Barbaric by Volk. You got Michael Morecki writing it, and you got Nathan Gooden illustrating it. Tyler, I know, has shown the cover A on the screen there, but we both have cover B, or I just call it the homage cover.
Yeah.
It is a great homage cover to the original Conan the Barbarian, and I loved it. But Tyler's right. This is Owen the Barbarian, and right from birth, he feels like he hates his life, kind of thing. He's like, why couldn't you call me Blood Nail or something? How am I supposed to rhyme anything with Owen in my song? So he's mad about that. But Owen, yeah, he's been cursed, and he's cursed by 3 witches who curse him with this blood axe, and it sounds pretty evil and kick-ass in that it is, except the axe can only kill, and he can only kill people or do war with evildoers.
Yeah, so like thieves
it's almost
don't
like an
cut it.
axe of vengeance. So, and like Tyler said, nobody else can hear this axe, and the axe is pretty funny, I must say. And the more the axe tears into people and gets its fill of blood, the drunker the axe becomes, and then the funnier it becomes too. And then he starts getting a little bit looser with his his standards. He goes from, oh, that guy's a rapist, no, let's go cut his head off, to, oh, look, that guy dropped gum, let's go get him. And the act is hiccuping as he talks about the blood and that.
Yeah.
And then even Owen, the character of Owen, is awesome too. Like, he made me think of what's his name in The Witcher? In the Witcher TV series on Netflix.
Geralt.
Yeah, Geralt the Witcher, like, all he says, he just sits there and just drops the F-bomb and shakes his head and stuff like that. And like you said, he's not a good guy. He says, I'm a barbarian. I want to do three things. I want to fight, I want to feed, and he wants to do something else. Uh, that's all he wants to do, but now he can't do that because he's forced to do good by this curse. And as long as he does this, he's immortal. But as soon as he does something, against the wishes of the axe or breaks this curse, he'll go to hell. So
Yeah.
awesome though.
Yeah. Next up is a surprise for me. Another surprise for me this week is Dr. Aphra, Star Wars. As I've said to Ashley, I've said to pretty much anyone I've talked to about the Star Wars books, I love all of them, and I hate Dr. Aphra. This is the only solo title of Dr. Aphra I've ever read, and I very begrudgingly say I enjoyed it. I'm wondering if maybe she works better as a solo character than a addition, because I guess anyone next to Darth Vader looks like a bit of a goofball. But I enjoyed it, and they brought back a classic from the original Clone Wars cartoon, back from Cartoon Network, Dirge. And if you've seen that, he was awesome in that, and I know he showed up in some of the old Dark Horse Clone Wars books as well. And of course, none of those are canon anymore, but this is his first reappearance into Star Wars lore. So if you haven't read this one, definitely take a look at it if you're interested in the rest of the War of the Bounty Hunter story. It seems like next month everyone's all together. Everyone's there at this Crimson Dawn meeting for the grand unveiling or grand auction of Han Solo and Carbonite. So hopefully this dirge sticks around a little bit longer. They kind of go their separate ways, but hopefully he finds a way to get back, because as he says in the comic, and if you know anything about dirge, he's really hard to kill. He's almost like Star Wars' Lobo.
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw it there too. Like you said, they kind of parted ways. Not mutually, not by his choice. I don't want to give nothing away there, but yeah, I thought it was good, and you're right. Dr. Aphra is kind of a goofy kind of sidekick character, personality-wise. Even in this, I thought that. But it's okay on your own when it's your own story. Yeah. Sometimes it's too much in somebody else's. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the reintroduction of Dirge, and yeah, I'm interested to see everybody meet up at the invitation-only Crimson Dawn auction, because I think shit's gonna go down. So.
Yeah. Next up is another one by Marvel, everyone's favorite Captain America, or Captain Americas. There's actually quite a few in here. You've got Cap, you've got Sam Wilson Cap, and you've got that new kid Cap. And he seems to be a fairly good character as well. So this series actually caught me by surprise. I've never really read a Captain America comic in my life. I think the last time I read anything Captain America was back during the original Civil War. So that was a surprise for me for sure. I enjoyed it. There's not a whole lot going on in the story. I think it starts off with Cap and his usual, what's America becoming? Are we really fighting for America? Are we fighting for ourselves kind of monologue? And it sort of takes off from there, and it's just a good read. I don't want to spoil too much of this one either, because not that there's any huge spoilers for it, but if you're gonna pick it up, then definitely pick it up. It's got an origin for the new younger guy that's taken up that mantle of Cap, and it sounds like there's a whole society of those Caps, kind of like a Batman Inc. kind of thing, but not exactly funded by Cap.
Yeah, I myself see it more as like a Underground Railroad of Captain America type things.
Yeah.
Like you said, this new person is I believe his name is Aaron Fisher.
Yes, I kept thinking Fisher. Anton, but I think it's Aaron Fisher.
Yeah, Aaron Fisher. And yeah, he's like a hobo kid that rides the rails and stuff like that, and he's sworn to protect runaways and stuff like that. And yeah, and he's taken the mantle as Captain America, and like you said, Sam Wilson, the Falcon, and Steve Rogers, the Cap, they're out chasing another fake Cap that has stolen his shield in the beginning there, and they all kind of meet each other up and stuff. And now, so it reminds me a lot of, I think it was the late '70s when Cap hit the road to learn about America and stuff like that. So they're going to do that again and go discover all these different Caps across America type of thing. And yeah, it was an interesting story. I knew what it was going to be right from the beginning. It was going to be mostly an introductory piece for this new character and that, and it was, and it wasn't bad. I've seen other worse introductions of more socially relevant people and stuff, but this one was okay. So
Yeah, and I didn't know, and I should have linked it from the Marvel Pride comics that came out before. This kid, he's actually gay,
yeah,
and they don't push it in your face. It's just happens to be there. He's got a boyfriend or a whatever, and they don't push it in your face. It's not super heavily done like I've seen some other stories do. It's subtle, and I thought it was a nice addition. It makes a nice,
yeah, I
unique
did too.
character.
Yeah, and that was my concern too, because like you said, a lot of times this stuff just feels so forced, and this time it wasn't. It was just that was secondary. It was the story was he was Cap, he wasn't gay Cap. So
Yeah, it was just as natural as Peter and MJ and,
yep,
Batman, Catwoman, anyone else.
cool.
Next up is a bit of a weird one. I didn't know what exactly to expect when Ashley recommended this one to us. It's called Parasomnia, and I still don't know what to make of it. I enjoyed it. It's got this hobo, or maybe not quite hobo, but
No,
wanderer of the
he's a hobo. He's
streets.
a homeless guy.
Um, he seems to be on some kind of quest, but every so often his mind flips to this dreamscape almost, and he's like this shadowy rider through a really dark forest, almost Lord of the Ringsy style dark forest, and he's on a quest to find a boy, and you don't really see any parallels between what the old hobo's doing and what this shadowy rider is doing until just closer to the end of it when you realize, oh, maybe this dude's just a little crazy, and the stories actually do line up. I went back and read it a second time after I read it through once, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is actually just telling one story, but it's just sort of cutting between reality and what is his reality.
Yeah, you nailed it. I know when you first read it, because we were reading stuff together last night, you just looked at me and you said, I don't know what happened there. And I kind of gave you, without reading the book myself, I just kind of gave you a little synopsis of what I heard it was. And you're right. Yeah, it's a guy. He's come down hard on his luck, and he seems to be missing something. And towards the end of the book, you kind of figure out it's maybe his kid, because he sees like a missing child's poster or whatever. Yeah, and like you said, every time he falls asleep or he gets beat up one time and he goes unconscious, and he kind of, the book flips into, like you said, this kind of shadowy, grim tales kind of thing. And yeah, he seems to be like I said, a lone rider type of thing, doing a quest, and at the end of the story, kind of gets captured. And like you said, there's no parallel story, but the same things happen to the guys at the same time.
Yeah.
So to me, it's almost like like you said, is it real or is it not real? And I think they're both real at the same time. It's just you don't know which one is the most real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's a great book because it's written by Colin Bunn, and Colin Bunn is a great writer. He's always does the weird twists or just stuff that you wouldn't think of in that. So I think this is going to probably end up turning into something like you're going to see like a crossover of sorts, or it'll meld or something. But it was great, and I really liked the artwork too by Andrea Malti.
Yeah. It's some really unique artwork.
Yeah, like
From page to
watercolors
page,
almost.
from hobo to shadowy rider guy, it's like night and day the way they paint it. The hobo is very dreary, but it's light colors, whereas the shadow is dreary and dark, but it's really dark, heavy colors.
Yeah, I have the. I'm sure you had the cover up there already and stuff like that, but I can just show you here, like when he's in like the. This is like when he's in the dreamscape world. Like I said, very bright, fairy tale like. And this is when he's in like just the regular world, and it's like your dreary, melancholy type of world type of thing. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. I was excited to read it beforehand because I had actually pre-ordered it because I do like Colin Bunn a lot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And even Ashley says Colin Bunn writes way above his pay grade, And I agree that, yeah, the book probably will make sense in issue number 3. It's definitely going that route.
Yeah, I know we have another book coming up later on at the end of the list. I believe it's our last one, and we'll kind of have that same kind of issue there, right? So,
Yeah,
but
and
we'll get into
this
that later.
last one, it's a book this week, but it's not new. It's actually on its third printing of You Promised Me Darkness. I hadn't read it. I picked up actually a copy for a buddy, and I'd never read it myself. Even after reading this, I don't know what is going on. There's aliens, but there's not aliens. I even the art in it is super ambiguous. I don't know what I'm looking at about 90% of the time. And that doesn't mean I don't like it. It's definitely got interest. It's definitely got appeal, but I have no idea what's going on at all. Like, no idea.
Yeah, and when we were reading them last night too, you said that to me, and I said, well, it's like the other one. Here, I'll give you a little bit of a background, and even with the background, you still had no idea. But
I flipped through it a second time, and I was lost. I thought the dude there was an alien. You're like, no, they're not even aliens at all. I missed that.
Yeah, no, they're not really aliens. But what it is you got Demon Connolly, and it's from Behemoth, and I like Behemoth stuff because one, really low print. Mm-hmm. If you don't pre-order it, or if you don't know someone that likes independence like Ash does at his store, you're probably not going to get it because they go fast when they do come out, much like the Vault books. But I like it. It is totally different. The art in there, I know you didn't really care for it. I kind of liked it because, again, by Annabella Mizafuri. If I said that wrong, I apologize.
Yeah, that's quite a name.
It's black and white and use of negative space.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's almost like trying to decipher some ink blots in some scenes and stuff.
Totally.
So I find sometimes it's just best to kind of let your eyes relax a little bit and just kind of focus on what they're saying and then try to feel out the picture. But you're right.
It's not a book you can rush through. You have to take your time with it, and it's a longer book too, actually.
Yeah, and it's a good price, and I know you didn't like the paper that it's printed on. It's almost like a newsprint, you said, but it
felt
has a nice
very
cover.
thin. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the stuff Boom uses. It's like a nice cardstock. But maybe I'm a bougie comic lover like that.
I like the nice cardstock on the book too, the cover. I have been reading it since it first came out because I like to stay on top of the independents and stuff. So I have multiple copies of covers of the first print. I like this book. What it is it kind of centers around Halley's Comet. Comes by Earth every 75 years, and when it goes by the Earth, it tends to cause people to, I won't say mutate, but it causes them to get auras. And some of these people who get these auras transforms them, and they mutate or they get powers or something, kind of like the idea of like a Terrigen mist in the Marvel universe, and that's what it is. So the world is kind of going to the hell and up in flames and stuff, and we start off the story with two people who are talking, and they're going to go try and do something in that, and they have powers because of this, and they kind of been ostracized a little bit. And there's another guy who's gotten powers, and he's called the anti-everything. And what his power is he absorbs like everything. So when he absorbs powers from people, he gets their powers and becomes stronger and that. So every time he keeps absorbing, he becomes like more and more godlike. And that's he wants to take over the world type of thing because of that. And it seems like all these other people are going to eventually band up and try and save him. And so these two people, they're younger people, are trying to make their way through like a desolated city, and they end up being cornered or surrounded by I guess like minions of this guy who can control people because he's so powerful with his minds, and they're about to get captured by them. And then two other I don't want to call them heroes, but two other people show up with their mutate powers and stuff and kind of save them from that situation. And some of these people look pretty messed up, like mutants and stuff, and some look normal until they use their powers, and then they just go really like absurd monster, like body mutilation, or like one girl comes like a giant octopus spider with floating eyeballs and stuff. And so it's pretty dark and deep and that. So Yeah, it should be neat. I know it threw you off because of the art and stuff, and a lot of people might not like that, but you kind of have to get by that and just kind of trust the story a little bit. I
Yeah,
liked it.
it like I said, it wasn't bad, but you can't rush through that one. That one you've got to pay attention to every little thing, because like I said, I flipped through it twice, and I still don't believe you that that dude's not an alien.
Well, it's not that they're alien. It's just that they're influenced by alien stuff,
Yeah,
right? Um, but yeah, I mean, and it has to. Other people have to like it and think it's got something good in it too, because like we said, this is its third print.
yeah, and it's not often that you see Behemoth getting lots of extra prints.
Right. Right.
And that would be all our books for this week. Like I had said in my original post, it was a bit of a slow week for comics, but I think that really pushed us to get a little bit creative with what we pulled out here. And thanks again to Ashley for some of the recommendations, because I know you're on top of lots of the indie stuff, but it slips through the cracks. It helps to have that extra set of eyes. Be like, no, definitely check this one out. So thanks there.
Yeah.
So I guess jumping off that, everyone, thanks for coming out, and we will see y'all next week. If there's anything you want us to check out, let us know. See ya.
Peace out, mofos.